Alright, so what is going on, guys? It is Noah here, and I'm back bringing you guys another new video. And for today's video, I actually have something a little bit different for you guys. So a while back over on Twitter, I asked you guys for all of your Call of Duty hot takes and unpopular opinions regarding like anything Call of Duty, honestly. And when I first tweeted out, I was seriously just curious on what kind of replies I would get from you guys. And we actually got a good amount of replies. So for today's video, I'm going to be reading and reacting to all of your guys' responses to that. And I'm only doing this really because I actually got a decent amount of responses. And I feel like some of these are some pretty crazy hot takes, and I feel like they'd be fun to talk about. And I know me personally, I have a lot of unpopular Call of Duty opinions probably that some of you guys would think is crazy and weird and stuff like that. So that's why I was just curious for your guys's. And depending on how this video turns out, if it does really well and you guys like these more commentary type videos about this type of stuff, feel free to comment your Call of Duty hot take and unpopular opinion in the comments. And then I'll go through, if we have a lot of comments on this video, and a lot of interesting hot takes and stuff like that, I'll definitely make a follow-up video to this. And like I said, if I do decide to make another video like this, if you don't already follow me on Twitter, go follow me over there, and I'll probably tweet out another tweet just like I did. And honestly, without further ado, let's start reading some of your guys' responses to this. So to start us off with these hot takes, we're going really bold here. And Blade of Grass says knifing is harder than sniping on most CODs. And I know this is probably a pretty controversial one if we're being honest. And after thinking about this one for a while, I'm going to have to agree somewhat. I wouldn't say most CODs, but I would say there's definitely Call of Duty games where knifing is harder than sniping. Even Black Ops 4, I would say the axe clips are harder than the sniping clips. The skewers are more debatable, but I would say the axe clips on Black Ops 4 are definitely much harder than sniping clips on the game. And then I would also say MW2 knifing and MW3 knifing is much harder than sniping on both of those games. And then another one I can think of just right off the top of my head is Black Ops 3 is definitely a harder game to knife on than sniping. But also to counter this, I definitely would say that there's games out there that knifing is easier. For example, I'd probably say that World War II knifing clips are probably a little easier than the sniping clips on that game. And even I would maybe throw in Ghost there to say that knifing is easier than sniping on that game. But I think what it really comes down to is it comes down to what kind of clips you're going for on either game. Like, because there could definitely be harder knifing clips when you're going for a certain thing than sniping clips. But then again, it can get really complicated debating on what kind of clips and stuff you're going for like that. So I would definitely say I somewhat agree with this, but I wouldn't say I 100% agree with this. But definitely let me know what you guys think about this one. So our next hot take here is going to come from Shadshot, and he says Hijacked from Black Ops 2 is underrated. And I definitely say I wouldn't agree with this one because Hijack has even gotten its own remake on Black Ops 3. So obviously people like it enough for them to make it a remake. And then also when Black Ops 2 was like in its prime, like 2012 when everybody's on the game, that was like the only map that was getting voted in lobbies and stuff like that. And even till this day, if you play Black Ops 2, Hijacked is definitely like one of the most popular maps that gets voted and stuff in the lobbies. So I definitely wouldn't say Hijacked is underrated. If anything, I would say it's rated properly. I think the popularity of the map is well worth it because it's definitely a great map in my opinion. The remake on Black Ops 3 probably could have been a little better, but that's really not the game's fault because of the jetpacks. but other than that, I definitely think Hijacked is rated properly. I think the popularity of the map is well deserved, and yeah, that's what I think about it. For our next one here, we have Marissa, and she says, I see a lot of people complaining about Blackout, but I think it was a great idea for them to introduce their own battle royale kind of thing, and it would make a cool series. I think I agree with her where I see a lot of people complain about Blackout, and even though I don't play Blackout a whole lot myself, and I'm just not the biggest fan, I think battle royales just really aren't for me anymore. But I think the reason people complain mostly about Blackout, at least from what I've seen, is because when they introduced Blackout to the Call of Duty series, they really started lacking on the multiplayer side to work more on that side. But it also makes sense because Blackout really helped the sales of Black Ops 4, and just number-wise, it really did a good thing for the game. And it also introduced the game to like an entire different genre of players, because there's people I know who have never played a Call of Duty game in their life and have never like touched like any multiplayer type of COD, and they definitely play Blackout now. I even had a mom that used to sit behind me in my last semester of college. I think she was like in her late 30s or early 40s, and she would tell us all the time about how her and her husband like stayed up really late playing Blackout and stuff. And if I had to take a wild guess, I would say it's because the battle royale aspect of the game brought her to Black Ops 4. And so obviously there's no denying that Blackout has done a ton of good for Black Ops 4. So from a business standpoint and from like a numbers aspect, I can definitely agree that Blackout did very good things for Black Ops 4. But like I said, I think a lot of the complaints just come from them not focusing as much on multiplayer and the other modes like zombies and stuff like that, because Blackout is so popular. And also Blackout added a whole new layer of microtransactions for the game. For example, I don't even know what they're called, but like you can get the parachutes and you can get the trails for when you jump out of the helicopters and stuff. So Activision obviously loved being able to monetize all of that. So just from like a long time Call of Duty player standpoint, I can definitely see how Blackout goes both ways. I could definitely see the good that came out of it, and then also there's downsides to it. And just to touch on how she said it would make a cool series, obviously they're still updating Blackout all the time, and there's already rumors that there's going to be a battle royale mode in Modern Warfare, So I'm sure they're already one step ahead of you on that one. And that's really all I have to say about that one. Our next one is coming from my boy Netflix, and he says the pro perk upgrade system and the currency system from Black Ops 1 is goated. And I can definitely agree 100% with that second half about the currency system from Black Ops 1. And if there are some unfortunate people watching right now that have never got to play Black Ops 1 or didn't get to play like when it was in its prime, I'm so sorry for you. but the Black Ops 1 currency system, they had COD points in the game before COD points actually costed money, and you would earn the COD points by playing, and then you can gamble and wager away the COD points in matches like Sticks and Stones and One in the Chamber and stuff like that. And that was just so much fun alone, gambling COD points like that. And then also for the create a class system, I really like how you can just buy straight up things with COD points. I thought that was awesome, and I thought also how you unlock camos with the COD points was a great way to be able to grind out just COD points instead of grinding out challenges. So I have nothing but good things to say about the currency system in Black Ops 1. I really wish they would bring something back like that, but I really don't see it happening in the future. But for the first part of what he said, the pro perk upgrade system, and this is one of the things that I was on the fence about, because when Black Ops 1 was in its prime, I think the pro perk upgrade system was a great thing. It added like an entire new layer to the game for you to grind challenges out, and I thought it was great, but it doesn't really age well, because when I want to go back and play Black Ops 1, if I don't already have those pro perks, like for example, I can't get Marathon Pro really anymore because you have to capture the flags in CTF, and really nobody is playing CTF on Black Ops 1 in 2019. So I definitely think it was a good thing for when the game is in its prime and everybody's playing, but it really doesn't age well. So for me personally, I wouldn't have it in the game. But other than that, I think the currency system is by far goated. Definitely the best we've ever had in any Call of Duty. We've really never even had anything like it, if we're being honest. And it's just crazy how they did something like that back in 2010, and we have yet to see something similar or better than that since then. And for our next couple hot takes here, we have a couple people relatively saying the same thing, where they either said they really enjoyed Infinite Warfare or they thought Infinite Warfare was underrated. And for me personally, I'm just really not the biggest fan of Infinite Warfare, I'm gonna be honest. And I'm definitely not that person that has only played Infinite Warfare for like 2 hours and says they don't like the game. I definitely had my time in Infinite Warfare. So on my main account, I think I got to like 6th or 7th prestige, and then I joined xJMx, so I started using my xJMx account, and then I ended up getting to a solid prestige again, like 5 or 6. So I definitely had my time played in Infinite Warfare. And even after all that time played and all the clips and stuff I've hit on Infinite Warfare, I've definitely even hit like one of my favorite knifing clips ever on the game, and I'm just still not the biggest fan of it. I think one of the big reasons that I don't really like Infinite Warfare is it's pretty much just like a worse Black Ops 3, and I'm a huge fan of Black Ops 3. Like Black Ops 3 is my baby, honestly. Like I'll advocate for that game, and I love that game to death, don't get me wrong, but Infinite Warfare was seriously, they took everything good from Black Ops 3 and just made it bad, in my opinion. They just pretty much ripped off every single specialist and just made it worse. And another thing that really turned me off from Infinite Warfare was the maps were not good at all. There were seriously like probably 2 or 3 good maps that I can even remember from Infinite Warfare, and then I really wasn't a big fan of the DLC either. And I'll even put my COD tier list on screen. Infinite Warfare is definitely, in my opinion, the worst Call of Duty game. It's pretty funny too, because if Infinite Warfare was not a Call of Duty game and it was some other title, I would think it's probably a pretty good first-person shooter. But just myself being a longtime Call of Duty fan, and just like what in my opinion embodies a good Call of Duty, Infinite Warfare is just not that. There definitely were some good things about Infinite Warfare in my opinion. I wouldn't have sat there and played it for that long if the game was just complete trash. One thing I really liked was how some of the variants like completely changed the gun and made it into like a new thing. I remember there was like a secondary that was a fully auto pistol, and then one of the variants changed it into like this charge up pistol that was like a one-shot kill. I really liked that. Then another thing that ended up killing that for me was in the beginning of the game, the Infinite Warfare supply drop system was horrible. It definitely did get better over time, but at launch it was very bad. And also there was that one specialist in Infinite Warfare where you can like boost forward. I don't really know what it was called, but I really liked that as well. So I definitely don't think Infinite Warfare was all that bad, but in my opinion, like I said, I think it's the worst Call of Duty. But I can definitely reason with people on why they like that game, because I don't even know how many hours on that game still. It just really wasn't Call of Duty for me, and I think that's why I feel that way towards that game. And our next one's gonna be coming from Wacky, and he says World War II is actually a really good game, besides the fact that they brought late content to the game and the kill feed. Other than that, it's amazing. And once again, I think I'm gonna refer back to my Call of Duty tier list. I definitely don't have World War II very far down the list. I definitely think it's a solid game for sure, but I think a couple things that World War II could have done better that would make me feel a lot better about the game and like the game more. Just for the first thing, I think they literally had 9 maps to start off the game, and like there was like 2 or 3 out of those 9 maps that were actually really good maps, and the rest were just eh. And don't even get me started on Gustav Cannon. In my opinion, that was definitely one major downside of World War II, especially right at launch. And then for my second thought about World War II, I think the game right now is really good. If the game launched with all these new features and how the game is now, I think everyone's perceptions towards the game, and including my own, would be a lot better if they just had all of these features that they have now at launch. But it just sucks that Call of Duty's nowadays, and just pretty much a lot of games nowadays, is they launch like unfinished and then they get better over time. And even though they do end up getting better, it would just be so much better if they just launched a good game and not take months and months after launch. But like I said, overall, I don't hate World War II, but it's definitely not like a game-changing Call of Duty for me. That's why it sits pretty much in the middle of my COD tier list. And of course, if you guys were around for World War II, you guys know I played the hell out of that game and uploaded a ton on it. So I definitely have no ill will towards World War II or anything like that. But yeah, that's what I think about it. And that is actually going to be the last hot take of this video. Like I said, I really hope you guys enjoyed this. If you guys want to go ahead and leave your unpopular Call of Duty opinion in the comments, we might make a follow-up video to this. And also just let me know what you think about these types of videos. I think it's nice to switch it up a little bit every now and then. And once again, don't forget to follow me over on Twitter if you don't already. It's definitely the best way to keep up with me, and I'll probably tweet out again if I'm going to make a follow-up video to this. So do me a favor, if you did enjoy the video, don't forget to drop a like. And if you're new around here, don't forget to subscribe. But other than that, like I said, that's going to be all for today's video. I really hope you guys did enjoy. I got a couple videos already scheduled for you guys after this one, so be on the lookout for that. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.